Oh hi, so we're back with my Curing Chronic Fatigue series, which doesn't actually aim to cure fatigue, but we are looking for things that makes it better. This time we are going in with B12 injections. Now this is not something that I'm doing what's the word? I haven't elected to do this, my levels are just really bad now. So they're sending out district nurses to give me 6 loading doses in 2 weeks. It's definitely what's needed if your levels are deficient and low. To get them in range, you do need those 6 doses in 2 weeks. And then the hope is that after that, your levels can sustain themselves for the next couple of months. And then you just need one top-up dose every few months. I'm really interested to see how this goes for me, especially as I have the deficiency. It gives me hope that when I'm in range, maybe I will feel a little bit better. The hard part about this for me is that my problems are not just severe ME, which could result, I don't know, you could be the first in your family with severe ME. In my case, I have an immediate family member who's got all of the same problems as me. You know, it's their situation. But I do have an immediate family member with severe illnesses who spent months and months in hospital at one time, and over their lifetime spent a good portion of their life in hospital, and who moved into a care facility at the age of 50 because they were that severely affected by illness. So I know that there's a genetic cause to this, and that potentially makes it less likely to be cured. Oh god, sorry, my brain fog is so bad. I know that I've not done this part justice. What I'm saying is, in my case, I know that really great improvement just isn't possible. There are some people with a severe ME diagnosis that get the B12 injections and they actually move all the way into the mild category, or some even recover completely, and it turned out they didn't have severe ME, they just had a B12 deficiency. In my case, I know that's not going to happen because of my family history and the genetics of all this. However, I am hoping that I feel a bit better. I've had 1 dose already, and you wouldn't see an improvement that quickly, and I haven't. However, I'm very thankful that the side effects were not as bad as I was expecting. I deal with severe nausea anyway, and I did have nausea that was at a normal level for me. So whether that was due to the injection, I'm not sure, but it wasn't, I didn't actually vomit. So if you've got a phobia of being sick, I hope that can be a comfort to you. And I honestly was expecting at such high levels of B12 to be feeling absolutely crazy, but actually I didn't feel that different, and I was able to continue as I normally would. I did have the crash from the injection itself, and as in the exertion. If you have severe ME, you know that anything, even a nurse coming to visit you for 5 minutes, can have such a big knock-on effect. So I did have the crash from that, and I'm worried about how I'm going to take the next 2 weeks, but I'm pushing through because I'm hoping it'll be worth it. I'm so frustrated with myself right now at how badly I've worded this, but I hope you can understand what I meant by that. Yeah, I hope this goes well. There is hope. Oh, hi again. So I'm back, and sadly the update what update? There has been no change, and I really mean that. I've looked at the list of symptoms of B12 deficiency to see if any of those symptoms had improved for me, and really they haven't. My baseline before is my baseline now. There has just been no change across the board, and when I looked at this list, I did really think about it, and I was like, is there even one symptom that I can say I'm 5% better on? And I can't confidently say that. I can't say that I'm even 5% better in any way. So yeah, sadly I'm not feeling any better. I didn't notice any changes. However, in my case, because I was deficient before, I will continue to have these injections, and I'm very much aware that that's a good thing, and for me to stay in that good range is a good thing. even though in terms of how I'm feeling, I can't discern any change there. One thing I thought it would be good to talk about was side effects throughout the process, especially having 6 injections pretty much back to back. They're like every 2 to 3 days for 2 weeks. I was prepared to feel really awful for the whole of that 2 weeks, but actually it wasn't quite as bad as I expected. It was hard to have like the nurses come here every 2 to 3 days. It was honestly even like traumatic at times because they saw me in really vulnerable states, like when I was like really sick. And for context, if you are like so sick that you can't even like open your bedroom door, they just come in and 1 minute they're in, 1 minute they're in your bedroom and there's no warning. Like just 1 minute you're on your own, the next minute the nurse is in your room. Like I'm glad it's done, and as I say, that did take a toll, just like the toll of having nurses here so often and being startled. Like I talk about when I'm unwell, I'm in this kind of like comatose state, and they would startle me when I was in that state. So it was actually really hard for me to have the injections from that standpoint. But in terms of side effects, they were nowhere near as bad as I was expecting. And again, actually quite hard for me to pin it down to anything. So yeah, I'm hesitant to even mention side effects because everything I experienced could also be put down to my normal. I did a couple of things that I was advised to do. So one was to take folic acid. That's just because I'm quite low in I am very low in folic acid as well. So I was taking some folic acid, not enough because folic acid also makes me sick, but I was taking some folic acid with it because your body needs that. They're called cofactors. Other ones you can take if you can tolerate potassium, like a potassium rich diet, and magnesium or a magnesium tablet. That's meant to be really good for you as well. And keeping on top of your iron intake. These are all things that can supposedly make you feel better. So that was iron, folic acid, potassium and magnesium. However, in my case, I know that folic acid tablets make me incredibly unwell. So I was taking like the lowest dose of folic acid that I could because I wanted my body to like have enough to properly make use of this B12 injection. But then I also knew that I couldn't take much folic acid because it makes me violently ill. It just like causes chaos for me. So yeah, that really was my experience. There's nothing more I can say other than I didn't have any changes, sadly. However, my side effects also were not they were nothing like I was expecting. I thought it was going to be, to be honest, similar to how I am with the folic acid, which is just violently sick and throwing up. But I had nothing like that, thank goodness. So yeah, that was my experience with it. They were definitely tolerable. It was hard having like the nurses in and out, but again, it's just kind of what had to happen in my case. If you're going to the doctors, then maybe that will be better for you. But equally, if you have a condition like severe ME, then you might have to have the nurses and find that easiest. And the funny thing is that having the nurses here was definitely easier for me than going to the doctors because I just wouldn't have been able to go 6 times in 2 weeks. But then even having them here was tricky as well. But yeah, that's my update. I sadly didn't have any improvements, but I'm glad I did it because it needed to be done. When you're deficient, especially in the UK, our levels for deficiency are already set at very low parameters. So if you're below that, you are really quite deficient. But yeah, that's my update. Sorry it wasn't better, but yeah, that's how it went for me. Oh, hi again. I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the weirdest thumbnails I've ever taken, and I felt very weird posing with my little injection thing. And I thought I would just explain this for anyone who's wondering about it, because if I saw this, I would be like, are they self-injecting? Why do they have that? No, actually, how this works in the UK, when you're under district nurses, the nurses come with the needle and like the kit, but the medication is yours and it's not the nurses. So the nurses don't come with the medication. So this is medication. So this is like prescribed to me and I have it here. And the nurses just come with the needle, and that's how that works. So yeah, see you. Bye. Look at this. Imagine me posing with this. You can imagine it because you've seen the thumbnail. I felt so silly.